just flashing over to this past season, I'll just talk a few words about that. Certainly, this past year and the year before that, actually, two of the more enjoyable years I've been around. And again, it gets back to the people that we've had on our football team. We've had great players all the way through, don't get me wrong, but the last 2 years, we've really had a unique culture on the team, a really unique chemistry, and again, it really gets back to the individuals that are working with us, and just very fortunate in that regard. If you look back a weekend ago or 9 days ago, we had the NFL Draft, and that's a really exciting time for our guys. We had 7 guys that went to the Combine, most in the Big Ten. We had 6 players drafted in that 3-day period, which is also the most in the Big Ten this past year. And it's something we're excited about. We want to recruit players that have that goal, that vision, that dream of playing the NFL, and that's really important to us. We want guys to aspire to be the best they can be. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But with that, we try to let them understand that the NFL opportunities are simply a byproduct of having a good collegiate career. And if they want to be great NFL players, it really is to their advantage to do a good job in the classroom. Statistics prove that out. Players with degrees are drafted higher, and their careers last longer, and they get paid more. 3 good reasons to do a good job there. And then I think if you follow the NFL right now, I think it's true in all areas of life right now, people are more and more tuned into citizenship and character as they bring people into their organizations. And we've tried to educate our players that way too. And just really happy to tell you that we're proud of the guys that got drafted. I think they'll all have great opportunities and do a wonderful job. But beyond that, they're not guys that I'm worried about once their careers end. I think they've done a good job. They've got the right perspective, and I feel like that's true of our entire football team. We were thrilled last year to finish in the top 25. Thrilled about that and thrilled to be in a BCS game. But I think we're proud of the fact that of the top 25 teams ranked, we were 4th in graduation rate success. Of the BCS team, 2nd, and that's been the culture at It wasn't something we invented. It was that way when I got there in '81. I think that's one thing all of you can be proud of at our university. I think all of our state universities, things are kept in balance. Players understand, that athletics are a pretty short-lived window, and there's a bigger accomplishment to be made out there. With our football team, just in general, looking back, I think what you can say about last year, or really any of the years that we've had successful seasons, there are 3 things that took place. First and foremost, our best players played their best, and they gave us great leadership on top of it. And you look at a guy like Pat Anger, who a year ago, 2008 in August, came into the season that year as a second-team player, didn't emerge in the starting lineup until several games into the year. Went on and played as well as any linebacker we've had in the last decade during that season, and surpassed that level this year. But behind the scenes was just a tremendous leader. A year ago, he was a good player. Starting, I think, last January, you could really see him emerge as a leader. Stanzi did the same thing. After the 08 season, Stanzi really began to emerge as a strong leader, too. And for a team to be successful, you have to have that going on. We've been very fortunate. The next 2 things, I think, are kind of intertwined. We have to have great stories, and then we've got to handle the bumps along the way. And we've certainly had some great stories. A year ago, I was really concerned, obviously, about losing a guy like King and Kroll. Matt Kroll, Mitch King, 2 guys that were 4-year starters, played at a very high level, gave us great leadership. But with that loss came opportunity. We had a young guy, Carl Klug, who had labored, a young guy from Caledonia, Minnesota, another small town, came down here. He was a 210-pound player out of high school, linebacker, running back, ended up being a great defensive lineman. And last year not only played well, but maybe arguably played as well as anybody in our defense. Really did a great job. And like Pat Anger, this past January, I've really seen him start to take a leadership role in our football team. So his growth continues, and I think that's a fantastic story. As far as bumps go, we certainly had our share of bumps during the course of the year, and that's part of life. It's part of sports, certainly, and we'll have them this coming year. And who knows what they are right now. Some you can control, some you can't. A year ago at this time, we had one running back that had experience in Joel Hampton, and Joel, as you know, injured his knee during the course of the summer, came back and started practicing in August, re-injured it. So we entered the year without anybody that had significant running back experience, and had 2 young guys, Adam Robinson, who a year ago was a safety during spring practice, and Brendan Wager, who Norm Parker would tell you was riding around on a yellow school bus last year at this time. 2 young guys stepped up and did a great job for us, and not something any of us could foresee, but it was certainly an integral part of our success. Brian Balaga was had a very rare infection the week prior to the Iowa State game, and Riley Reef stood in for him during that ball game. And the Arizona game, the Penn State game, 3 big victories for us. Riley did a fantastic job as a redshirt freshman and went on and earned a starting guard job that year when Balaga came back, and turned out to be one of our most consistent players. But a guy, again, we weren't quite sure going into the season where he would be at. And I'd include James Vandenberg, too. I think James did an outstanding job this past year. You know, really unusual circumstance. We're 9-0 in the game he comes into. He'd thrown 2 passes the entire season, and one of those was pretty ugly. I let him know about that up at Iowa State. Threw a nice ground ball. But, yeah, that was his level of experience going in. I thought he really competed hard in that game. And then what he did, I thought, in the week after, in a very, very tough loss, but a great football game, led our team in, I think, an exceptional way for a young guy. To me, you know, you can understand why we're so excited about his future. Then team-wise, you know, certainly coming off the field after the UNI game, if anybody had predicted us to be a BCS Bowl champion, you know, you probably could have made a little money on those odds, I think. But you know, the team hung in there. They got back to work after a very difficult game and did a great job. And I think even more noteworthy is the way that we handled 2 very devastating losses. It was tough to lose our quarterback and the game against Northwestern, and you know, a heartbreaker, as you might well imagine, coming out of Columbus. But the team, you know, got off the mat. They did what they had to do to get the Minnesota game taken care of, and then really certainly played our best game after the month of December down in Miami in January there. So, you know, again, it's just a lot of good things, but those are the things that are going to happen in the course of a season, and that's really life as well. You know, you need your best people to stand up and give you leadership and give you direction. You certainly are going to have to handle the bumps along the way, and certainly this town knows about bumps along the way, and then hopefully you have some good stories. And I think anytime adversity strikes, anytime things happen that aren't quite wanted, it gives you a great opportunity to have some great stories, and you know, that's one of the neatest things about life. So, yeah, we were very, very fortunate from that regard, and you know, just you know, it was a very, very enjoyable year. But at the end of the day, it comes down to having people that have strong attitudes. We had that, and they were very much other-centered. We had a group of guys that, you know, really cared about each other, and they put the team, the welfare of the entire group, well ahead of their own desires. And that's when you get that going, you have a chance to do some significant things. So that in a nutshell is our season. And you know, if I'm here 10 years from now, that'll be the story of the season prior, you know, good or bad, you know, how we did on those 3 things on the checklist.